Sneaker fam, what's good? Kyrie gang, what's good? I'm drowning in these Kyrie 4s. Guys, no delay, let's get into the top 20 Nike Kyrie 4s. What is up? My name is Kosher Nostra. If you guys haven't checked out my channel yet, be sure to subscribe for constant sneaker content. I've been wanting to drop this video for a while. I've been going hard on these Kyries. At first I was going to do the top 15, then because of all these dope packs that Nike has dropped for Kyrie, I quickly went from less than 15 to over 15. So I had to drop that top 20 video for you guys with a couple honorable mentions, guys. Let's get right into it. So what qualifies for the top 20, guys? All right, we're going with GRs, general releases. So nothing exclusive, no player editions. We're not gonna go with stuff that dropped at like 1 or 2 House of Hoops. We're not gonna go with the yellow lobster, the green lobster concept pair. We're nothing like that, nothing that's super duper exclusive. We're gonna go with things that were essentially GRs. A few of these, of course, you had to stay a little bit more woke, as is always the case, but GRs and only GRs, guys. So fam, my first honorable mention, something that I knew was gonna make the top 15. It was definitely a colorway I really wanted to get my hands on. Having said that, it did not drop over here. It was an Asia exclusive, the Chinese New Year pair. You do have some hits of pink on the shoe and some flowers. Some of the petals on the roses are in black, I wanna say, on those joints. I'll throw a picture of that up there, but a very dope pair. For my first honorable mention, something that would have made my top 20 if I had it in hand, the Nike Kyrie 4 Chinese New Year things, guys. Now for the next couple honorable mentions, things that I had the chance to pick up, which I might pick up in the future just for the sake of being a completionist, but things that just weren't busy enough for me to want to go out and pick up. The first colorway is that almost all white pair with just a little hit of blue, a little hit of green. To me, it was like the Seattle Seahawks pair, the Seattle Mariners pair. They're just super plain, as some of these white Kyrie 4s have been. Essentially an all white shoe with just a few hits of color on that back portion of the midsole. Kind of a strange release, honestly. So at the bottom of my list of honorable mentions, the Nike Kyrie 4 Seattle Seahawks joints. All right, so my next honorable mention, another pair that personally, and again guys, this list is all personal opinion. I know I'm gonna get flamed in that comment section down below. The whole video is a matter of opinion, so people are going to be feeling one way or another when it comes to certain sneakers. There's going to be stuff that's way low in my list that's going to be super high in your list, and this might be one of those sneakers. But me personally, I don't really wear all black shoes. I do wear all white shoes. Of course, hate getting them dirty just like everybody else does. I think that's a reason a lot of people don't wear all white shoes. Me, I'm a risk taker, I'll do it. But the Nike Kyrie 4 triple blacks, I personally picked up the Nike Kyrie 3 Black History Month joints, and I've worn those things like 2 or 3 times, and most of the time it was when it was like raining outside. It's just a really plain shoe with essentially a marbled outsole, and that's the same thing going on with this Nike Kyrie 4 triple black. At spot 23 is the Nike Kyrie 4 triple black. All right guys, at spot 22, the Nike Kyrie 4 ankle taker. Another really plain colorway. I personally will dig shoes that are black with a decent amount of white accenting, or vice versa. These just a little too plain for me. They were one of the first colorways of the Kyrie 4 to drop, and it kind of had me worried that they were going to go the route of the Kyrie 3, where they were just going to drop a lot of these sort of plain colorways that just weren't going to interest me. But if I can find it for the right price, which is getting more and more scarce nowadays since it was one of those first colorways, I might go back and scoop it. So guys, at spot number 22, honorable mention, the Nike Kyrie 4 ankle taker. All right guys, the last honorable mention, the last sneaker that I don't have in hand, the Nike Kyrie 4 Think Twice. Again, for me personally, they just kind of hit me similar to how the ankle taker color hit me. It was just a little too plain for me. Having said that, I've checked them out in stores here a little bit more thoroughly recently, and some of the blend of colors on that outsole is pretty dope. I do like how they sort of mismatch the coloring on the Kyrie logo on the tongue. It makes it pop a little bit more, but just another sneaker that personally was just too plain for me. All right guys, now onto the meat of the video. Everything's in hand at this point. Little drum roll. Let the polarizing opinions begin. Let the flame comments begin. At At spot number 20, the Nike Kyrie 4 Uncle Drew things. All right, so these joints in hand, I did lace swap them. I've lace swapped quite a few of these Kyrie 4s. Most of these laces I did videos on. A few of these sneakers I still plan to change the laces on. I've just been super busy. Have had some personal things going on with my mom and stuff like that. She had a heart attack not too long ago. So I've just been falling a little bit behind. This is a pair that I did swap the laces on, and I actually will probably go back to the white laces because they just go a little bit better, man. It's just a solid white shoe with that gum outsole. These things are dope. They're just a little too plain, man. I felt like they could have done a little something else with these. And honestly, I would have thought they would have come higher on my list personally. But what I did to make this list, I literally took all these shoes out and I put them all in a row, and I just started stacking them one by one in terms of which one I liked the most. I started at 1 and I went from there. When it was all said and done, this joint ended up being the last. I know I'm gonna get flamed for that for sure because these things are definitely classic. On feet, they're dope. They feel awesome. They look good. They're just classic. I mean, you can't go wrong with them. But for me, just super plain. And in the context of the rest of these Kyrie 4s and all these dope uppers, this was number 20, guys. All right, fam, on to number 19, the 41 for the ages. These joints are classic too, man. You got that all black upper, you got hits of red, you've got that white outsole. This is one of 2 Kyrie 4s that they kind of did something special and patterned for that inner sock lighter. It made it hard to put it so far down on the list. I mean, you can't go wrong with black, white, and red. But then when you turn back to the back portion of the shoe, you've got those bricks, which I know if you're playing basketball, man, that's polarizing. I know when I dropped the review for these, I was getting a lot of comments in the comment section that people were talking about why would a basketball player want to buy shoes that already had bricks on them, and some people were questioning those comments. I definitely thought that was funny, man. When you kind of took the backstory of the shoe into consideration, you know, it kind of changed and swayed your opinion a little bit. But to me, another pair that's semi-forgettable at number 19, the 41 for the ages. Number 18, Nike Kyrie 4, the Kicks collab, man. Nike collabed with General Mills on a handful of releases. 3 of them were released to the general public so far as GRs. They were a lot harder to get your hands on. They were much more limited. And I really wanted to like this pair more. They sort of got that Laney High color scheme going to them. And I definitely dig them. I love having them in the collection, don't get me wrong. But compared to the other General Mills collabs, they definitely left a lot to be desired. A dope shoe, but all these shoes are dope, and that's what makes this countdown so hard. At number 18, Nike Kyrie 4, the General Mills Kicks collab. All right, guys, on to number 17, Nike Kyrie 4 in the N7 colorway, guys. All right, these actually didn't release in stores here, and this is another colorway that I wanted to like more. And actually, when I made my top 15 list, I did like it more. I had it way higher on my top 15 list. I don't know if it was just the hype getting to me, the fact that I didn't know anybody else that had these joints, the fact that it's my first N7 in my collection. I don't know what it was about it. I know these things will go way harder with the lace swap that I have in mind. Even when I took some pictures of the whole collection, this was one shoe that I really found that just blended into the background. A dope shoe, dope branding, dope story behind it, and definitely super dope for people that live in the actual area, members of the tribe. But for me, another shoe that was a little too plain, something I wanted to like more, I did like more, and just compared to all the rest of this heat, dropped on my list a little bit. Alright, fam, on to number 17, the Nike Kyrie 4 Venus Flytrap joints. Honestly, this is a shoe that I'm kind of surprised it's as high as it is on my list. I wore these things not too long ago, and I did a lace swap obviously on these joints, and when I wore them, man, it made me realize how hard that freaking lace swap goes, and it really makes this shoe pop. Kind of what I was getting into with my dig on the N7s, and how I think if I had swapped the laces up on those shoes would definitely be a little higher on my list. But these things are dope, man. That metallic sort of chrome hit on that swoosh goes hard. I'm not a huge fan of that sort of peachy, mango, kind of orange type color. I don't really have much of that in my wardrobe at all. But these things are dope, man, with that sort of almost like green glow in the dark type color midsole speckling. These joints go hard, man. And again, with that lace swap from DMG Laces, guys, check them out if you guys haven't. Dope prices, a lot of dope inventory, man. They got a lot of stuff that you might want. Definitely check them out, man. I've done a ton of lace swaps for my Kyrie 4s for them, and this lace swap I think is one that really sells the shoe. So at number 16, guys, the Nike Kyrie 4 in the Venus Flytrap colorway. Alright, fam, on to number 15, a colorway that I actually cycled back for here recently. I didn't pick them up originally because it's somewhat plain, but I'm a huge fan of the color green. It's probably my favorite color, and I think it has been ever since I was a little guy. Another shoe I think that, you know, a little lace swap could spice this thing up a little bit, but essentially just an all gray upper. I feel like that back portion of the upper, they sort of tried to emulate what's going on with the hardwood floor on that Celtics court with that City Guardians or City Edition, whatever you want to call this colorway. You can definitely see why they had to throw that splash of green. I feel like since they didn't hit you with like the hardwood color on that back portion of the upper, they should have just gone with more green on these things, and they would have really just jumped at you a lot more instead of just having that primarily green outsole with that little hit of pink. At number 15, the Nike Kyrie 4 City Guardians joints. Number 14, guys, another colorway that I didn't pick up on release day. I actually tried to pick it up on release day. It was sort of during this little portion of time where all these Kyrie 4s that were supposed to release on these certain Fridays were not dropping here on Friday. I'd have to come back like 3 or 4 days later and they would finally be in stores, sometimes like a week later. All the clerks were always like, it's no big deal, man, you know, they're not gonna sell out. The Kyrie's always sit. It took them so long to get these joints, but finally, by the time they did, I had sort of moved on and was doing other videos and stuff, and I just told myself I would cycle back for these. I finally did. I got them for a really good price. That back upper that sort of has that almost like 3M or sort of shine to the back portion of upper, and it just looks like somebody drizzled paint or something like that on it. That goes hard, man. That gold on the actual swoosh with that metallic hit as well goes hard. And where these joints get their name, the actual pitch blue that they have in the toe cap of this shoe, very dope. I love how it distinguishes that from the black of the shoe and it stands out a little bit. And then of course you got a little white on the midsole, that gum bottom definitely goes hard. I mean, this is a shoe that's subtle but at the same time loud. That's what I love about these joints. At number 14, Nike Kyrie 4 in the pitch blue colorway. Alright guys, on to number 13, the Nike Kyrie 4 NCAA March Madness joints. Of course these things dropped, as the name indicates, during all that March Madness last season, but one thing that I think sort of hurt the shoe in terms of where it fell on my list was that these things were so similar to the PG2 NCAA March Madness colorway that dropped. There was just some subtle differences, such as the way they did the coloring on the outsole and stuff like that. The two actual colorways of those shoes are just super similar, so it kind of hurt the uniqueness factor of this shoe to me. It does also have this sort of caging thing working its way up the lacing all the way down the toe box. To me, it's not a super clean look right there on the toe box. I'm not a huge fan of that. It is 3M, so it does pop. You don't necessarily have to lace the laces through there, and it might be tighter, so some people might prefer balling in this particular version of the silhouette more. But to me, with that PG2 looking so similar, these things were just a little bit less unique. At number 13, the Nike Kyrie 4 NCAA March Madness joints. I feel like that's one of the first shoes that I picked in my top 20, other than that Uncle Drew colorway, that a lot of people are just gonna drastically disagree with me with. I challenge you guys, make your own top 20 and throw it down to me down below. Hit me with the top 10, top 15, top 5, top 3, whatever you guys wanna do, let me know down below. Definitely interesting to see how you guys feel about some of these shoes. Now it's getting really interesting. On to number 12, guys, the Nike Kyrie 4 in the 80s colorway, okay? These joints are awesome, man. I really dig these. I loved what they did with the two packs. It just makes collecting sneakers a little bit more interesting when you have other things to relate them to. I will say the color blocking, the color choices and stuff, having them all laid out, they're fairly similar to that All-Star colorway. Those to me definitely pop a little harder. They're definitely more flashy, so if you're a flashier person, you might not like that pair nearly as much. But these joints have a lot of low-key yoga flame features going on them. When you get up close to these joints and you're really checking out that sort of swirl that's going on, you can see where the pink is thicker in areas. Very dope. That speckling on the midsole is dope. And these joints may have that glow-in-the-dark green outsole. If I could confirm that, they'd probably be way higher on my top 20 list. At number 12, things are getting really interesting, guys. The Nike Kyrie 4 80s colorway. Alright fam, at number 11, the Nike Kyrie 4 Year of the Monkey joints. This silhouette in itself is very busy. One thing that's really cool about a lot of these colorways is they all have something really unique going on with the shoe. This is probably the shoe that has the most coloring on the outsole in sort of solid hits. A lot of the outsoles that are different colored, you've got sort of that marbled, like almost camo kind of look going on, where they've just kind of blended or splashed the colors. This shoe's a little different. You've got that sort of lines, that sort of paint strokes of color going on. And because you've essentially got that all black upper, you got a lot of potential for lace swaps here. I chose to do a red lace on one, a blue lace on the other because of the mismatch monkey and the mismatch insoles. And another really dope feature about this colorway is the back portions of the upper. You've got sort of contrasting textures going on, whereas in the left shoe has a lot more straight jagged lines. The right shoe has a lot more rounded lines. You really just have to see it to take it in. Very dope, very different. At number 11, the Nike Kyrie 4, You're the Monkey. On to the top 10, things are getting super serious. There's probably been some sneakers that would have came in y'all's top 10 that I dropped in the top 20. At number 10, fam, the Nike Kyrie 4 All-Star colorway, the Venice Beach colorway. Another sneaker that I lace swapped. I got the laces from DMG Laces, and I feel like this lace just accents this shoe perfectly, man. I feel like it just goes super hard with that tie-dye black and white look. When I picked these joints up, I actually thought that some of the white portions of that tie-dye were actually 3M. That is not the case, man. They do pop a little bit in the lighting, but it's just because it's white. But all in all, this is definitely a shoe that you can't help but notice. You can't help but turn some heads with these joints. At number 10, the Nike Kyrie 4 All-Star colorway. At number 9, guys, a shoe that I camped out for, didn't need to camp out for. I thought they were gonna be a lot more limited than they actually were. I don't regret camping at all, because when I got there were 2 other dudes that were really good friends that were camping out as well, and we ended up being the only 3 that were, but there was no way I was missing out on these or those PG2s. At number 9, guys, the Nike Kyrie 4 Mamba Mentality joints, all right? Another shoe I lace swap, probably starting to sound like a broken record, but a lot of these Kyrie 4s, man, if you had a black upper, you had black laces. If you had a white upper, you had white laces. Even the shoes that have solid color uppers, you got that same lace going on. They didn't take a lot of chances with these laces. Hopefully that's something with the Kyrie 5 that they'll do a little bit more. They'll throw some more crazy kind of colored combinations. And the uppers on these are really dope. You've got that sort of pop art look, which of course is paying homage to a previous Kobe colorway. I think it's really neat how they did that. But at number 9, the Nike Kyrie 4 Mamba Mentality. At number 8, guys, things are getting super difficult. The Nike Kyrie 4 70s colorway, all right? I love these joints. I think that color blocking goes hard. I think that outsole goes hard, but they couldn't manage to crack my top 5. I know they definitely cracked some of y'all's top 5s. I know they definitely were the highlight of the decades pack to some of you guys, but to me, there was one that stood a little higher. What they chose to do with this color blocking, man, to me, it's 70s all day, the way they sort of highlighted that Nike swoosh. It just makes me think of all that old text that they used to do, very rounded, and they used to just emanate those colors and lines from the actual text itself, man. I think Nike nailed it with the 70s colorway. They could have done a million things with these, but to me, out of the 3 colors from the decades pack, the 70s spells 70s the loudest. I feel like this shoe embodies the 70s more so than the 80s shoe embodies the 80s and the 90s embodies the 90s. Whether you dug those colorways better or not, I feel like this colorway represented the 70s better than those 2 colorways represented their respective decades. That was difficult to say. 1 to 2 yellow Kyries in the top 20, the Nike Kyrie 4 70s joints. All right, guys, on to number 7, lucky number 7. This particular colorway, choosing between this one and the one I chose for number 6, I think it was the most difficult decision that I had to make other than 1 and 2. But fam, after beating myself in the head for a hot minute and staring holes at these things, what I chose for number 7 was the Nike Kyrie 4 Power is Female Things. The color itself is pretty polarizing. It's sort of that Miami Dolphins colorway going on with that sort of aqua teal upper, then hits of orange and white. When I did the review for these things, I know I definitely stated I would not have expected myself to have dug this color blocking as much as I did, but man, these joints go hard. I love rocking these things. I feel like it's another one of those colors, man. It's kind of like wearing an all red shoe. People just can't help but notice what you got on feet. It's loud and it's a unique color, man. It's not something you see people wearing on feet very much at all. At number 7, the Nike Kyrie 4 Power is Female joints. Man, that was a difficult decision. At number 7, we'll keep it at number 6. Nike Kyrie 4, the General Mills collab with Cinnamon Toast Crunch, man. They sort of remind me of Timberland's, that wheat colorway. I feel like it's a super versatile sneaker. They go hard, but at the same time, that color is super classy, man. You can tone these things down. You can loud them up if you want. The speckling on the midsole and on the swoosh itself, I dig it, man. I definitely dig rainbow colors. So that little subtle hit of loud for me is definitely enough to make me think these joints go hard. I feel like this was kind of a consolation prize out of the actual General Mills collab. People were going for the Lucky Charms pair and they settled on these because they weren't able to get them, or they settled on these because that pair hadn't hit stores yet, which is actually what ended up happening around here. I almost dropped a video just talking about that whole story, but when I watched the video, it sounded like I was complaining more than I was really just trying to tell the story, and that was definitely not the vibe I was trying to throw out there. Definitely happy to get my hands on these. Something that'll always be pretty special in the collection, the Nike Kyrie 4 Cinnamon Toast Crunch joints. Alright guys, on to the top 5 Nike Kyrie 4 colorways that have released as general releases, alright? The top 5 was super difficult for me. I wrote it down on a piece of paper as I was lining up all these shoes, and then I started drawing arrows all over the place like it was an NFL play or something. Things got super hairy and I started to realize how difficult it would be for me to just pick one favorite shoe out of my whole entire collection. I mean, what do you go for? That one pair that's just classy enough to be you from now until the end of time, like you were a cartoon character or something like that. On to number 5, I'm blabbering, the Nike Kyrie 4 red carpet joints, man. I know as soon as I held them joints up, you were like, whoa, man, that color is crazy. These joints are super unique. It's kind of hard to describe exactly what color these things are. It's almost a pink, but it's just more rich than that. It's hard to describe, man. I tell people they're sort of a fruit punch color, which is a confusing statement in and of itself, because you have to see these things to really be able to appreciate the color, man. These things are crazy. The materials on them are crazy. You have that sort of rubbery patent leather hit on the mudguard itself. You got this sort of velvet hit on the outside portion of that sock liner, man. You got a hit of rubber on this actual tongue pull. You definitely have to get these joints if you're a Kyrie 4 collector. Don't sleep on these things. The Nike Kyrie 4 fruit punch carpet, the Nike Kyrie 4 red carpet, fam. Alright guys, on to number 4. Another sneaker I had higher in my list, and when it got down to it, I knocked it out. The Nike Kyrie 4 BHM Black History Month, the equality joints, whatever you want to call these things go hard, man. This was the first Kyrie 4 that dropped, other than the confettis that were hyped, that sold out. They were difficult to get. I got there pretty early in the morning. It was like 10:05 and I literally got the last size 11. Since then, the resale value on these has kind of dropped back down to retail. But honestly, I feel like this was the first colorway of the Kyrie 4 that really showed us what they were gonna do with the outsole. People knew how busy the Kyrie 4 outsole was gonna be on almost every iteration. These joints might not have sold as well. Honestly, I feel like it was the untraditional color blocking with that red, black, the green, that hit of white on the zigzag. That's what really sold the shoe for people. The Nike Kyrie 4 Black History Month. Guys, we're down to the top 3. If you guys have been here the whole time, I definitely appreciate it. Thank you guys for rocking with this video. This is another personal pick of mine that I know is going to be highly controversial in all you guys' top 20s, top 3s, top 5s, whatever. This shoe might not make your top 5, it might not make your top 10, but to me, when I first saw pictures of these joints, I was so excited for these. The Nike Kyrie 4 in the 90s colorway from the Decades pack. I mentioned earlier that there was one other sneaker, that 41 for the ages, that had something busy going on with the actual sock liner that wasn't just a plain solid color going on. These joints have almost like this streamer kind of confetti multicolored look, which I think was what really gets me. I love that multicolor. The outsole itself also has this insane color blocking with almost like these pastel-y sort of Easter type colors. That upper looks solid white. I'm pretty sure when I did the review I said they were solid white, but it's almost like that white is laid over a pink material underneath to just give it this ever so slight hint of pink to the shoe. You can definitely distinguish that when you set it next to some of these other pure white Kyrie 4s. I had to have these joints, maybe a colorway that's not for everybody. Definitely one that made my top 3. Let me know down below, guys, if it made you guys' top 3, the Nike Kyrie 4 from the Decades pack in the 90s colorway, guys. Fam, we've made it all the way to 2. I feel like 1 and 2 are going to be interchangeable between my list and a lot of you guys' top 2s as well. These 2 colorways are just so dope, so unique, and then couple that with the fact that they were fairly limited as well. I feel like we might be agreeing on something here, guys. At number 2, for me, probably one of the most difficult decisions to make in this entire top 20, the Nike Kyrie 4 Lucky Charms joints, alright? Definitely a love it or hate it shoe, and out of the 3 General Mills collabs that released, this was the one that everybody was going for. Honestly, most of the people that I knew that were trying to get them did actually get their hands on these things in some way, shape, or form. That rainbow swoosh, the embossed marshmallows on the upper, the actual color blocking of the marshmallows on the outsole. To me, this is one of the dopest drops of 2018, the Nike Kyrie 4 Lucky Charms General Mills collab. Guys, we made it all the way to number 1. If you stuck around for this whole video, kudos to you. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a really long video. Hopefully I can work some editing magic on this joint because I've been talking forever. These lights are crazy hot in here, guys. On to number 1, guys. The first colorway that dropped of the Nike Kyrie 4, the inaugural colorway. I actually wasn't fortunate enough to purchase these things for retail. They dropped right before Christmas, and a lot of these malls were opening an hour, 2 hours early because of that Christmas rush. I got them for a decent price. The dude that sold them to me is my homie now, so in the end, I'm a winner. Whatever, it is what it is. At At number 1, guys, the Nike Kyrie 4 confetti colorway. All right, during this whole review process, I've only been showing you guys the left sneaker. This pair I had to show you the left and the right. You've got that mismatched, of course, pair. I know a lot of people weren't able to get their hands on these joints. Some people were and ended up paying crazy resale prices, at least in the context of Kyrie's. Definitely something that turns heads. Anytime you wear anything that's mismatched when it comes to shoes, people are just so conditioned to seeing you wearing the same shoe on your left and your right feet. Whenever you're rocking something mismatched, you're gonna turn a million heads out in public, and I can't tell you how many times I've been asked the question if that was one pair of shoes or if you were wearing like 2 mismatched shoes. I honestly think the left sneaker is my favorite because of that blueberry blue coloring on the actual medial portion of the shoe, but I definitely love that neon yellow on that right shoe as well. Part of me wishes these things didn't have the icy outsole because you know these joints will yellow, but man, what a gorgeous shoe, what a cool story behind it. Something you definitely have to own in any respectable Kyrie 4 or Kyrie collection. Fam, we made it all the way from the honorable mentions all the way from 20 down to 1. Let me know in that comment section how badly are you disagreeing with my top 20. Do I have no color sense whatsoever, guys? I'm Coach Nostra. I appreciate you guys rocking with the video. Stay blessed, fam. Peace.